In the most holy name of Allah, the one God who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom our holy praises are forever due. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that he has chosen to demonstrate his godship to the world, the so-called Negro man and woman of America. That God, who has come into the world, has vested his divine credibility, the establishment that he is the most powerful God to have ever lived, the credibility of his claim. I bear witness that he has established through his will to raise up the black man and woman in America. I further bear witness that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his living and exalted Christ, and that the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan is the messenger of God today and more.
Yes, sir.
But he instructed us, well, don't go too much further. And he is the proof, for me at least.
Go ahead.
Farrakhan is the proof that, contrary to what some believe, Allah God did not cease interfering in the affairs of the black man and woman in America in 1975.
Go ahead.
In their names, I greet you, Brooklyn. Assalamu alaikum. I'm tremendously honored to be here in Brooklyn. Brother Student Minister Henry, Brother Student Captain Sherwood, and all of the laborers here at Muhammad Mosque number 7C, to the believers, to the guests. Thank you for honoring me with your great presence and your patience.
Allahu Akbar.
So we're gonna get right in.
Yes, sir. Let's go. Yes, sir.
Now, if I may, two things technical. I see me, but I don't see that. Okay. And I'm also gonna need, is there a way, some of those I'm gonna need to see and read myself? No, I mean, can that be pushed back and turned slightly so that what I need to read, I can, while we are doing that? To those of you who are here at Muhammad's Mosque for your first time, I want to make my intentions today plain and transparent out the gate.
Very good.
My intentions today are to compel you, all of you, to accept your own and be yourself today. What is your own self? Your own self is a righteous Muslim. With no apologies, family. My objective for you today is to compel you to want to join your nation of Islam. But you say, you may say, but I thought in your Holy Quran of the Muslims that there is no compulsion in religion. And you would be correct. But what you didn't know is that the Nation of Islam is not a religion. Now that begs the $64,000 question. What really is the Nation of Islam? I want to go after that today. What is the Nation of Islam that if I am successful today, if Allah blesses me with success today, you who are not yet registered members of your Nation of Islam, you will be compelled to accept your own and be yourself, not compulsion by thuggery or goonism. We got goons, but I won't deploy them today for this purpose.
Yeah. Stand down.
Stand down, goons.
Come on.
But I hope to compel you by making you an offer you simply cannot refuse. What is the Nation of Islam? Well, we are, in short, Noah's Ark.
There you go. Man. There you go. Marinate on that. That's right. Come on.
The Nation of Islam is Noah's Ark. You may recall in the book of Genesis, in the flood narrative, the ark is the vessel by which God spares Noah, his family, and the remnant of life, all life that God had chosen to preserve. After Noah completed construction, following the instructions of God to construct the ark, it looked, I imagine, I wasn't there.
Come on. Come on.
Yet. I am here.
Okay. Come on.
But I wasn't there during the construction. I would imagine in Noah's day, that ark with the less than high-tech materials used, it may have looked kind of shabby on the outside. It may have, by the disbeliever's eyes, looked insufficient. But God instructed Noah and all life at a certain point to enter the ark. Now, follow this. The ark was to save God's elect from a flood that will kill everything. But what's important here is the same God that instructed the construction of the ark to save humanity. It's the same God that sent the flood to destroy humanity. It's very important to what I'm going to present today. God has a right hand and God has a left hand, and he uses both. And through both of his hands, he is master of the day of judgment. He is Lord of all of the worlds. He's Lord of his world and he's Lord of Satan's world. What kind of flood is the Nation of Islam established to save us all from? En route to answering that question, I want to highlight for us 4 distinct phenomena. On the surface, very isolated, non-connected phenomena, but I want to suggest to us that there is an important common thread binding all of them together. For example, what is the relationship between, on the one hand, the black homosexual phenomenon,
Here we go.
and on the other, the Jewish controversy with the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Come on. Connect the dots. Listen good.
On the surface, these seem like very different and unrelated phenomena.
That's right. That's right.
You would agree with me that there is such thing as a black homosexual phenomenon
Yes, sir.
that we are witnessing?
Man.
The 2013 Williams Institute report indicated that at that time there were 1 million black LGBT. 1 million of God's people.
Come on.
The people God traveled himself
Right.
9,000 miles.
Right.
The people upon whom God's divine credibility hinges.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. Come on now.
1 million. By 2013, you know, by James Baldwin's day,
Oh.
he'll tell you homosexuality was a white thing.
That's right.
That's where he encountered it.
Go ahead.
But by 2013, 1 million black LGBTQ, 200,000 transgender.
Man.
What is the root of this phenomenon? On the other hand, the Jews obsessively hate Farrakhan.
Yes, they do.
The Jews are locked in a battle with the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, and they will not let up.
That's right.
It is not because he is anti-Semitic.
Right.
He is not. It is not because he has ever slandered them, the Jews. He has not.
That's right. Come on, bro.
So, why are Jews so hell-bent? Hell-bent
Go there.
on not only hating and destroying the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, but also, if you have watched and if you have not, I strongly urge you to watch the lecture that my brother, student minister Demetric Muhammad, delivered not too long ago from Mosque Mariam. This lecture was the plot to outlaw the Nation of Islam. Right now, Jews are absolutely plotting the outlawing of the Nation of Islam. What do we mean outlaw? Are we being hyperbolic? Are we being drama queens? We don't do that in the Nation of Islam. Not on this side. And not on this side.
Right.
Queens, but not necessarily drama queens. We ain't got no queens over here.
Right now. Make that play.
But there is right now the concerted effort to make it illegal to be a member of the Nation of Islam, make it illegal for student ministers like me to mount a rostra and speak certain truths that is our Islam, and to be guilty of speaking certain truths, I can be charged with a felony.
That's something. There you go.
What is at the root of the Jews' obsessive, unrelenting hate for the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. And what would that have to do with this black homosexual phenomenon?
Come on. Come on.
We will get to that, God willing. The third phenomenon that I would like to bring to our attention and throw in this mix. Black America's cancer crisis.
Come on.
Black America's cancer crisis.
Go in.
According to Cancer Facts and Figures for African Americans 2016-2018 report, black people have the highest death rate and shortest survival of any racial ethnic group in the U.S. for most cancers.
Right.
Not one particular cancer or two. For most of all cancers. The death rate for all cancers combined was 24% higher in black men and 14% higher in black women than in white men and women, respectively. According to the report, 1 in 2 black men.
Think about it.
1 in 2 black men and 1 in 3 black women will be diagnosed with cancer in our lifetime. Half of us here, 1/3 of us here will be diagnosed with cancer, some form of cancer in our lifetime.
This.
Breast cancer is the most common diagnosed cancer and cancer-related death of black women. Prostate cancer is the most diagnosed cancer of black men, though we disproportionately suffer from colorectal cancer and lung cancer, all of the cancers, but you are dying from breast cancer, not just our mothers, not just our grandmothers,
Oh, come on.
but our daughters are dying of breast cancer. Black women, not only have you closed the gap with white women in incidence of breast cancer. For a while, white women had a higher incidence of black cancer, though you always had a higher death rate of breast cancer and a more aggressive, distinct form of breast cancer. Today, you have closed the gap. Your incidence of breast cancer has matched white women's incidence of breast cancer, yet you still die. More, you die younger, you contract it younger. The black man in America has the highest, listen to this, the highest incidence of prostate cancer, not just in America,
Think about that.
of the entire planet.
Gotta think on that one now.
There is not a group whose prostate cancer incidence rate matches the black male in America. We are right now in the midst of a cancer crisis. We are a sick and sickly people.
Talk about it.
But the question is why?
Yeah.
How did we become the poster boy and girl for cancer? And what does that have to do with the other 2 phenomena that I started with? The black homosexual phenomenon. What does the black America's cancer crisis have to do with this black homosexual phenomenon? And what do either of them have to do with the Jews' hate for Farrakhan?
Oh, bro, come on now.
Point number 4.
All right now.
distinct and disparate phenomena that I would like to highlight for us and then jump 4 limbs in. Phenomenon number 4.
Yeah.
The appearance of a mysterious man in Detroit on July 4th, 1930.
All right now. All right now.
Last week, this country and maybe some of us celebrated Independence Day on the 4th of July. Well, we too in the Nation of Islam, we celebrated on that day as well, but we didn't celebrate the United States of America's independence from Britain. We celebrated our independence from the United States of America.
How about that? Come on. That's what I'm talking about. Come on now.
We were able to celebrate July 4th as our Independence Day because it was on that day in 1930 a mysterious man appeared in Detroit, Master Fard Muhammad, God in person. And he declared on that day Black America, the so-called Negroes, independence from his 400-year enemy, open enemy, the white man, white people. We still teach in the Nation of Islam that the white man is the devil. If you came thinking this is a kinder, gentler nation, somebody lied to you. We're kinder and gentler, hopefully, on our people, but we will never let up on the white man because God has come to kill Satan, not save Satan. So far be it from us to get in God's way. He want to kill our enemies.
That's right. Get in the way. Come on, brother.
I don't begrudge God on that.
Come on, brother.
Master Fard Muhammad began teaching July 4th, 1930. And that teaching in Detroit, that teaching was the foundation, was the seed that would germinate as your Nation of Islam. What might that have to do with the other 3 phenomena?
Come on now, bring it on. Come on.
What brings all of them, these 4 phenomena, together? So we're gonna have that problem.
I like this.
Well, I don't like that. So we have that problem.
Yes, sir.
Right.
That is a problem, though. The visuals are important. No, the problem is, I guess, the same problem Brother Arif had. My slide is amputated.
Wow. Oh.
What brings all of these phenomena together? I am suggesting to us today that what I have called the testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault. I have been, by Allah's grace, traveling this country over the last 2 years, since October 2016.
Okay.
Shining light on the assault on the black man, black manhood, and black masculinity, but also that tour morphed into understanding the chemical assault on melanated people. Not just over here, but over here. of all of the vectors of this assault that we document in here and in our lecture series, all of it can be subsumed under this one rubric. Yeah, we'll do it like that, that's fine. The testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault. Now, I have been on this testosterone thing.
That's right. Teaching. That's right.
And I know, I understand. Y'all think I'm just being a chauvinist, don't you?
Come on.
You just think I'm man grandstanding, don't you?
Man to stand.
The testosterone conspiracy that Allah has blessed me to uncover and expose. I intend today, God willing, if you will have patience with me and if the technical difficulties don't tax my patience, I intend to do something I have not done yet. I intend to demonstrate that this testosterone conspiracy and estrogen assault that we are bathed in right now, which didn't come to fruition, the beginnings of its manifestation or execution and full operationalization began in the late 60s. But I intend to demonstrate today that this very testosterone conspiracy and estrogen assault was a preoccupation of Master Farad Muhammad.
Oh, yeah.
I hope to demonstrate in the brief time that the Nation of Islam, as we are constituted by Master Farad Muhammad himself, was specifically and is specifically, among other things, the answer to this testosterone conspiracy and estrogen assault. As he, Master Farad Muhammad himself, saw it while he was among us, though it had not been operationalized yet. As he saw it when he was among us, as he in his divine wisdom was able to anticipate it, and he left with us every single thing needed to avert it.
Right.
I intend to prove that today, God willing. May I have the other slide, please? Now I'm still going to need, Brother Harold. I'm sorry to tax your effort, but I'm going to need with the feed. I'm going to need it to navigate, to migrate between me and the slides. Thank you. Remember I said, I didn't say, I highlighted for us that the same God that authored the ark,
Yes, sir. All right now.
it's the same God that authored the flood.
Yes, Yes, sir.
Keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
That will help us to appreciate this, I guess, seemingly bold claim that I'm making.
Right.
That this very testosterone conspiracy and estrogen assault was a preoccupation of that man, Master Fard Muhammad, the savior who came to America to save the black man and woman. He knew of what he had to save us from. And his work among us was preparation for an assault that was yet to come.
Right.
Master Fard Muhammad. What's important, what I want to emphasize for us today, those of you who are here for your first time, who may be unacquainted with this great man.
Right.
You want to get acquainted with this great man.
Yes, sir. Come on, teach.
We will have occasion, you come back on Sunday,
Come on.
or even Monday, brothers,
Bro.
but on Saturday, sisters, and on Friday. Whenever these doors open, you come, and you will learn more and more about Master Fard Muhammad. But what I want to highlight now is very important. Master Fard Muhammad's work here had two phases to it. Two phases to it. I said he began teaching in Detroit, July 4th, 1930. From that day to his departure from among us, which was 1934. He departed among us in 1934. Between 1930 and 1934, he did a particular work, but that was phase 2 of his work. What was phase 1 of his work? That man, Master Fard Muhammad, he first came to these shores in 1910. In 1910, he first came to these shores, and as I understand it, as is attributed to Brother Jabril, I need to ask him.
Come on.
Did you say that? But it's attributed to him that in 1910 the Savior came through New York. And among the first things he did was sit on the curb and weep at the condition of his people. Not long after arriving here in 1910 through New York, he made his way to California. And he spent his time in California, but he was incognito. He didn't start teaching the black man is God and the white man is the devil then. In fact, I don't know that he did any teaching of black people at all. He was among, for 20 years, between 1910 and 1930, he was among white people in California in particular. He was at the University of California. His 20 years in California between 1910 and 1930 is of extreme importance as we unfold this thing. But understand, this was phase 1. Phase 1 was very different from phase 2. Phase 1, he was planting seeds. Phase 1, he was laying the groundwork. And then in 1930, after completing phase 1 of his mission, he left the country. Then he came back to begin phase 2 of his teaching. Phase 1 was among white people. Whatever he was doing among white people, including planting seeds, but phase 1, his mission was among white people. Phase 2, which began July 4th, 1930 and went to 1934, was among black people. And he did something very different in phase 2 than in phase 1. He not just taught black people, but he prepared a weapon.
Say that. Teaching. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah.
I use that term advisedly. He began the process of building the ark.
Right. Yes, sir.
He taught black people in Detroit. You see Black Bottom. He started in Black Bottom and Paradise Valley.
Come on.
And then in 1934, phase 2 was completed.
Come on.
He departs, he disappears, what the reports suggest.
Yeah.
Those 2 phases of God, 1910 to 1930, and then 1930 to 1934, those distinct 2 phases of God, perfectly synchronized with the 2 phases of Satan's assault.
Man. Say that.
The testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault that we have been exposing.
Listen. Say that.
Its roots are in 2 phases. And I know you're going to think I'm lying. That's why I need these visuals.
Come on. Tell it, brother. Come on now.
This estrogen or testosterone conspiracy and estrogen assault, its genesis begins with 2 phases. The first phase, 1910 to 1930. The second phase, 1930 to 1934. I will prove that. I don't wax exotic just to impress you. That's why, I'm hard. I'm not, You have to be in a particular mood to invite student minister Dr. Wesley Muhammad to speak. You gotta be in a particular mood. I'm not your first choice on most days. When you want some turn up, right? I'm not that one. I'm not that one. We got them and they are good. But you gotta want something specific. Call me to invite me. Because I'm not the easiest, what I do ain't the easiest pill to swallow. So, and my books aren't the easiest books to follow because I burden us with a footnote apparatus. An annotation apparatus. And you know why? Because, as we were blessed to receive an award, I think it was Islamic Scholar of the Year award at the Sadnetta Awards yesterday, and
Yes, sir.
I had been dealing with that site for that community for 10 years, and they have heard me say one thing that annoys the hell out of me. People come before us waxing exotic.
Come on. All right now.
We spend all this exotic, cause we say all of this stuff that sounds real good and bends our brain, and that's deep.
Right.
And I'm sitting looking, and what annoys me isn't necessarily the waxing exotic
Come on.
or the brother or sister at the rostrum, because we know what that is. Okay. But what annoys me is us in the audience. At the end of it, no one stands up and asks that most important question.
Come on.
Brother, that's deep. What you talking? Where you get that from? Where you get that from?
Come on. He's a reference point.
So, I anticipate the question.
Right.
You want to know, you should want to know where I get it from. So I give it to you before you can even ask.
Right. Praise be to the Lord. Okay.
We battle against incredulity among us. The inclination to disbelieve what we say and loyalty to the word of your enemy. That's okay. It's okay. We got that. That don't burden us.
Right. That's right.
Because we at the root of knowledge.
Come on, man.
We, the Nation of Islam, we at the root of truth. Everybody else got branch knowledge, so they gotta twist and turn and fudge and omit and commit. All we gotta do is give it as you need it. We got a full toolkit.
Come on, now.
So
Hey.
the synchronicity
All right.
between the two phases of the work of God
Dang.
and the two phases of the work of Satan is absolutely remarkable. I hope you will be just as impressed
Okay.
as I am.
Come on.
Slide, please.
Right. Teach it, brother. Come on. Take your time, beloved. Go ahead.
Phase 1. Okay, now this is going to be a problem. You're going to have to, in a minute, switch back to slide. When I give the cue, please. This is very important.
Yes, sir.
Can you see that date? This article was published November 30, 1910. And it's not an article. It's a cartoon, but not to be dismissed as a joke. This November 10th, November 30th, 1910 cartoon commentary is titled Man and Woman.
Come on.
Now this is the one, Brother Harold, that I need you to bring the screen in on the iPad. Yes. Is it on? It's on. So follow this. 1910. This cartoon commentary is published. The commentary has 3 time periods. The first, man and woman as they are.
Okay.
The second, man and woman I'm sorry, let me back up. The first, man and woman as they were. It's 1910. The second, man and woman as they are. The third, we're going to dissect each one of them.
Come on.
The third, man and woman as they will be. Is 1930. The first year Master Fard Muhammad enters this country through New York. So look at the first row. Men and women as they were. You see, the man is taller, muscular, more robust.
Come on.
The woman is smaller, feminine, petite. The distinction between man and woman as they were is very clear. As the Quran says, the two paths are conspicuous for you. Men are not like women and women are not like men. So the distinction in the natural order of things is clear. And so as this 1910 commentary indicates, men and women used to be clearly distinguished. Men and women as they are in 1910. Look, there's parity. You got to look close to distinguish the man from the woman. They are almost equal in body size, equal in body shape. His clothes are as hip hugging. In fact, his are more hip hugging than hers. So their size, they've achieved parity in size. They've achieved similarity in dress. They achieve similarity in physique. That's men as and women as they are in 1910. And then it concludes. Men and women as they will be. This deep. I'm trying hard to contain myself. I hope I can, by the end of it, engender in you the same excitement as I'm overcome with. As they will be, 1910, as they will be. The woman is now robust, muscular. She's taller than him. He is totally feminized. But look, we're not just talking about transvestism.
No, come on, deeper than that.
This is a very important. Seed dropped by Satan the very year Allah entered the country planting seeds. See, the difference, the role reversal didn't just come through switching wardrobes. That's transvestism. The woman is now physically masculinized and the man is now physically feminized. His body, his brain. That's why you know how we know his brain, because they have him saying, oh, FIFA. Which in 1910, I guess, white women, that was white women speak in 1910. But they have him mentally feminized, by which I mean neurologically feminized, not just ideologically feminized, neurologically feminized, and physically, by which I mean biochemically feminized, and it has her. Look at her smoking on that cigarette. A cigar. Looking like Popeye. She is neurologically masculinized, and she is literally physically masculinized. This is what in 1910 the seed was dropped. This is what will be. There will be a physical, a chemical masculinizing of the women in America and chemical feminizing of the men in America. But not all men necessarily. This is 1910. The year the God entered the country and started doing his work. Something else happened in 1910. Y'all okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In 1910, the very year the seed was put out there, the thought was put out there that men will be physically feminized and women will be physically masculinized, that very same year. The scientists responsible for the science that will eventually make that happen, he published his very first report on the subject.
Come on.
The Austrian Jew, Eugen Steiner, he published, Eugene Steiner, his science established the foundation that is now used in sex change operations. It was Eugene Steiner's science that will later be the basis of sex change operations. Eugene Steiner, the Austrian Jew, it was in fact his students who are responsible for the very first male to female transgender operation. I'm not going to tell you that date yet.
Come on.
It was Eugene Steiner, the Austrian Jew. There's a reason I'm emphasizing that he's an Austrian Jew. It was Steiner who showed that sexuality was chemically manipulatable, and he therefore established the hormonal or chemical basis of homosexual and bisexual behavior and the scientific transgenderism. It was Steiner who established that growth into a sexually active male depended on chemicals secreted from the testicles, and he established that black males have the most amount of this testicular chemical that they called at the time juice of the testicles, but we call today testosterone. Steiner demonstrated that black men on this earth have the highest endowment of this juice of the testicles, and he established that manipulation of such juices allows one to manipulate sexuality. Now, what is important here is his science that I just briefly summarized was first published in 1910.
Come on.
The very year, see, this is the science that will make this happen.
Yes, sir.
That was first put out there in 1910. The very year, see, this is the beginning of phase 1 of Satan, and it coincided with the beginning of phase 1 of God. Let's go on. Look. Can you read that? Does this work? Does this work?
Yeah, no, not that one.
This one?
work it out. Here we go. Come on, bro.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, get up close and personal.
Let's read what it says. Steiner took up the interstitial cells, the cells, we now call them the Leydig cells, the cells from which testosterone, juice of the testicles, is produced. Said Steiner took up this question. He said, and between 1910 and 1930, Steiner and his collaborators, what years?
1910.
Between 1910 and 1930, Steiner and his collaborators demonstrated that male and female rodents, their Leydig cells, indeed produce the chemicals promoting the development of sexual anatomy and shaping sexual behavior. So that science that I just summarized,
Yes.
he hammered out between the years 1910 and 1930. He established the science that will be used in phase 2 of Satan, but the groundwork was laid in phase 1, and phase 1 was 1910 to 1930.
Sound the alarm.
That man, Master Farad Muhammad,
Talk about the God.
he came in 1910,
All right.
and he told us that the white man's world ended in 1914.
That's right.
That
Good, man. Listen good.
the end of the 6,000 years granted to the white man to try his hand at ruling the planet.
Yes, sir.
That experiment,
Very good.
the white man is an experiment. That's why he makes us his experiment. He's so petty. He always ping-ponging with God. He always ping-ponging with God. He's so petty. So, for example, because he mad, the white man, because black Muslims, black Arabian Muslims, their first slaves were white. So white folks' first encounter with black Islam was making them slaves. So they so petty, they turn around and make us slaves. Ain't that petty? 1914, the end of the white man's 6,000 years. That's the end of his world. What happened in 1914? In addition to the First World War that broke out, depleting European males, World War I created a crisis, the first crisis of white masculinity, because European men were slaughtered on the various battlefields of Europe. But something else happened in 1914. World War I kicked off in the summer, I think July of 1914, but the year 1914 ushered itself in a very dramatic way. In 1914, you see that date? January, December 1914, from the Chicago Medical Recorder. In Chicago, I'm in New York. But don't begrudge me for having a lot to say about Chicago. It's not because I'm coming from Chicago.
Come on now.
Come on now.
Make it clear.
But did you ever wonder why it is that if the Savior started in Detroit,
Yes, he good.
clearly there's a reason he started in Detroit.
Right.
Detroit was black bottom.
Right.
The worst of our condition was concentrated in Detroit, so the Savior started his salvific work in Detroit, but the headquarters of the Nation of Islam is not in Detroit.
Come on.
The headquarters of the Nation of Islam is in Chicago. Did you ever think why that is the case? Now, I cannot say, let me be real clear, I cannot say that I've heard from my teacher,
Right.
the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, the answer to this enigma. I cannot say that I have any quotes from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that answers this enigma. I'm just purely speculating.
All right.
Come on, tell it, come on.
This, while there was something then and now peculiar about the black man in Detroit,
Come on. Come on.
there is something peculiar then and now about the white man in Chicago.
Right. Here we go.
Interesting.
Connected.
So it's the Chicago Medical Recorder. In January 1914, the beginning of the year of the white man's official doneness. Done. See, I didn't want to say in because that didn't, I needed you to really feel what he was feeling.
Right.
Doneness. And then that year, the opening of that year, we saw the publication
All right.
of Dr. Victor Lespinaci from Chicago. You see what he says? The transplantation of the testicle. The first one is Dr. Lespinaci, a urologist from Northwestern University. The other one is urologist George Frank Lidston, also from Chicago. Why are they important? What Lespinaci published this critical article in January of 1914, and Frank Lidston did something profoundly dramatic in March of 1914. Lespinaci published a scientific report about taking testicles from one man, implanting them in another man for the purpose of accessing the Leydig cells and thus the testosterone, or in that case, the juice of the testicles. This was part of what was called a European phenomenon called rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. Rejuvenation, white males in particular. Rejuvenation was, in fact, the privilege of white males. Rejuvenation was the end result of testicular transplant surgery. Transplanting one man's testicles into, not just any man, we're going to talk about what man. Who's the donor? Who's the receiver? Y'all saw the movie Get Out? Well, you are going to learn today the reality of Get Out that didn't make it in the movie.
Based on truth.
But this date is critical because January 1914, the year of his doneness, the science of his hoped for rejuvenation was made public. Lespinazi made it public in January 1914, the significance of Lidston, also in Chicago. He tried it on himself. He grafted himself with a testicle. And he report 1914, so it wasn't just theoretical. The year of their doneness, they had an idea of how they can be rejuvenated, how they can have what they call a second puberty, how white masculinity can be rejuvenated. They had the theory. Lidston tried it out. In 1914, the year is critical. This Jew right here, Voronov. Do you see the date?
Come on, Brother Wesley, tell him.
Men seeking monkey glands. The controversial xenotransplantations of Dr. Voronov, what's the date? 1910 to 1930. Who is Dr. Voronov and what men are seeking monkey glands and what are these monkey glands?
Come on, come on, come on. Let's get into it. Come on now. Come on.
A Russian Jew who immigrated to France, became the director of a science lab in France. He became famous. His work was between 1910 and 1930. He took, was the only one, but he became famous, and he has specific significance. He became famous. He gave 1,000 wealthy white European men the testicles of someone else. Now, who was the someone else? In the popular press, he fanned the belief that he was implanting these wealthy white men with monkey glands. But in the French social imagination, monkey was code. Monkey gland was code for Negro testicles. This devil, they first started taking the testicles of executed criminals. But there wasn't enough black executed criminals in France. And French law did not permit him to take non-executed Negroes, take their criminals. But the French had colonies in Africa.
That's right.
In Algeria in particular.
That's right.
And in the French colonies, Voronov set up shop where not only monkeys had their glands used, but Africans had their glands snatched.
Come on.
And implanted in wealthy white men. Now, there's something else very important about Voronov. The Russian Jewish immigrant to France. And he did this work of giving wealthy white men monkey glands, i.e. Negro testicles, for the purpose of rejuvenating them. He did this work between 1910 and 1930.
Wow.
Now, there's something else about this Jew, Voronov, and his work with monkeys. See, he said that, well, even though monkey was code for Negro
That's right. Come on.
in the French social and all the European social imagination at the time. Yet, he also said, scientifically, Voronov said that certain primates, specifically the baboon, was blood brother, not to humanity, was literally blood brother to the white man. Now, why is this important? His book, I wish I would have brought that picture. His book, published in 1925, was called Rejuvenation and Grafting. The title of his book, Rejuvenation and Grafting. Why is that important, and how is that related to his acknowledgement, his scientific acknowledgement that primates like the baboons are the blood brothers, not to all people, but specifically the blood brothers of the white man? And he said, one, that the African is a depot for spare parts.
Wow.
You know what a depot is? Like Office Depot. And the Lowe's is a depot. The African is a depot for spare parts. But he said, in terms of whites being blood brothers, and he said specifically these primates are the younger blood brother of the white man. Why is that relevant? Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, and some of you mocked him, but the laugh is on you.
Come on. That's right.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that after the white man was grafted out of the black man over 600 years, and then after making trouble and mischief in the Holy Land, we kicked them out. We told them, get out. And after spending see, they petty. They're always ping-ponging with God. After spending 2,000 years in the cave, a certain element among them, specifically after God sent Moses to teach the savage caveman, only a small portion of those cave savages listened to Moses' instruction. Those who listened to Moses' instruction are what we now call the Jews. That's why the Jews are wiser than the Gentiles. You're not a Gentile. The Gentile is the non-Jew white. White folks in general. The Jew, those who listen to Moses, after gaining Moses' wisdom, among the first things they did, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, was to try to regraft themselves back to the original man. And he said that they only got so far as the monkey, the ape. So the ape is the younger brother of the white man, and that Jew told us that. Everybody. Yeah, I know, but I don't have a flight to catch today. I want to get this out. If y'all stay, you stay with your friends. I want to get this out. I want to get it on record. It started late, my pocket. If you gotta go, go. If I'm left not talking to nobody but the live stream audience, they gonna get some good stuff. But I'm not going to, with your permission, student minister. You're gonna get enough of disbelieving and mocking Elijah. The last laugh will always be on the disbelievers and mock makers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Everything he taught, we can prove it in no limit of time. Lixton in Chicago. See, this is the real Mr. Get Out. He was the Dr. Leo Stanley. And between 1913 and 1951, he was a chief surgeon to San Quentin Prison in California. Master Farad Muhammad was doing phase 1 in California between 1910 and 1930. In 1918, Lixton, taking a page from, Leo Stanley, taking a page from The Devil in Chicago, Lixton, he started, and taking a page from Vornoff, he started grafting, taking the testicles of those executed in San Quentin and implanting them in white prisoners of San Quentin. But look, this is why he is the real Mr. Get Out.
That's right.
He grafted the testicles of his first victim, was a black man. He implanted his testicles into a white idiot. And the white idiot, the results, according to him, were remarkable. The idiot became wise from the tissue of an executed Negro. But he wasn't, he did due process. He tried a Mexican, an Indian, and a white. And he determined that he got the best results from the Negro's testicles. And he published in 1918. Well, he didn't publish, it was published in the Los Angeles Times, 1918. And they quote him. And he's bragging about the remarkable rejuvenation of this white idiot after planting a Negro testicle in him. And the ricochet of that was by 1920 in Chicago, where Lespesi and Lixton did their work in 1914. By 1922, there was what they called a gland larceny epidemic in Chicago. Not grand larceny, gland larceny. Men were being drugged and then kidnapped, and when they wake up, they're missing their testicles. The epidemic was among black men. Black men in Chicago. See, Kanika Jenkins, Chicago. Remember Kanika Jenkins? That beautiful sister who ended up in the freezer.
Right.
No accident.
And the word on the streets was there's organ harvesting going on. We know that with Kendrick Johnson, that's a fact. Look, it is a fact that organ harvesting, gland larceny, organ larceny, Chicago has been a capital of organ larceny. And black people have been the chief victims of organ larceny out of Chicago. And so all of these white men stealing black men's testicles, not for our sperm in this case, our goods, if you will, are a double threat and a double envy. The sperm is the white man's threat. Your testosterone is a white man's envy.
Come on.
And see, when I said from Mars Marion that the white man, because you know y'all accused me of obsessing over the black man's testosterone, and I said, well, I obsess over the black man's testosterone because the white man obsesses over the black man's testosterone. I know some of y'all think I just be on some making stuff up. I just be saying stuff for the effect. No. The white man obsesses over the black man's testosterone. He obsessed so much that he steals our testicles in mass and implants them in himself for the purpose of getting our testosterone. Now, I'm gonna run through it. That was phase one. So phase one was the testing out, laying bare the science of the assault that will come, testing out certain mechanisms after Steinick identified these testicular secretions and their importance for masculinity. And he established that the black male has the greatest endowment of this testicular secretion. Right. During that same period, they started snatching black men's testicles, grafting it into themselves and being rejuvenated. White civilization, that wasn't just for white male individuals. Right. White civilization hope to be rejuvenated through the juice of the black man. Right. Phase one, 1910 and 1930. Phase two of the white man's assault. Right. 1930, 1934 is very distinct. Phase one was the laying the scientific groundwork. Right. Phase two, which literally went from 1930 to 1934, was the preparation of the weapons.
Come on. Come on, walk with it, doctor. Walk with it, please.
1930, estriol isolated. Estriol is the estrogen. Come on. It was first isolated. The female hormone, estrogen, estriol, because there's three main estrogens. You're going to get to that. All of them isolated between these years. The first estriol was isolated in 1930. What also happened in 1930, the beginning of phase two of the white man, and also the beginning of phase two of God, what happened in 1930? The first male to female transgender surgery occurred in 1930. Steinick students applied Steinick's science that he published between 1910 and 1930. Okay. Wow. The science of phase one was operationalized at the beginning of phase two. 1930, the first male to female transgender. 1931, what happened? The first androgen. Testosterone is an androgen, the male hormone. The first androgen, androsterone, was isolated in 1931. In 1932, Sir Charles Dodge discovered the estrogenicity of a very important chemical. We will have much to say. BPA, bisphenol A. Its importance, its value as a weapon, was discovered in 1930 by Sir Charles Dodge. He's Sir because he was knighted by Britain, and you will understand why they knighted him when we're finished, inshallah. In 1933, estradiol, the other estrogen, the most potent of the estrogens, was isolated, and the first synthetic estrogen was developed in 1933. That's important because the estrogen assault doesn't come through natural estrogen.
Okay.
The assault, the weapons of the assault are synthetic estrogens. Estrogen mimickers.
Yes, sir.
Chemicals made to act like estrogen.
Go ahead.
The first synthetic estrogen was produced in 1933, and in 1934, testosterone was finally purified from bull's testicles. So between 1930 and 1934, literally, the weapons of the testosterone conspiracy
Right.
and estrogen assault,
Yeah.
the weapons were discovered in that very time period, that very womb of time, 1930 and 1934.
Yes, sir.
The very same period of the second phase of God.
Come on, come on. Man. Come on.
Now, full disclosure, that seems pretty tight, doesn't it?
Come on.
Yes, sir. Come on. Right. Keep going.
Go ahead.
Seems very tight.
Yeah.
Conveniently tidy, huh?
Right. Right.
You may say, I'm kind of suspicious. Well, you would have grounds to be suspicious. There's a chink in this tightness.
Come on.
There's a chink in this tightness. See, some of you who may know your endocrinology, you might say, 1930 estriol.
Come on.
Okay. 1933 estradiol discovered. Okay. But there's a hormone missing. Brother Dr. Wesley, see, that was slick, bro. You didn't think I knew. Well, there's an estrogen missing. Where's that strong? That's the third estrogen. You know, it would be tidy, 1930, 1934, all the weapons, but there's an outlier. Where's estrone, brother? That's a very legitimate question.
Yes, it is.
Because,
Yeah, who knew that?
and, brother, where's progesterone? Progesterone is the other feminizing hormone, and if you follow my work, you know the progesterone was weaponized. Where that at? Well, admittedly, the first estrogen isolated was estrone in 1929. Progesterone was discovered in 1929. A year before that 1930-1934 period. Not, hold on for a second. See, this is the exception that proves the rule. It's the chink that proves the tidiness. Estrogen and progesterone, both discovered in 1929. The synthesis of estrogen and progesterone in men, Steiner proved. It induces in men the synthesis of estrogen and progesterone together. That's what produces the sexual behavior of females. It's called lordosis, in particular, in rodents, the female sexual receptivity position. And low out, head up,
Yes, sir.
rump up, so that the male can mount
Yes, sir.
her. It's called lordosis.
Wow.
The synergy of estrogen and progesterone produces or inclines one to this sexual behavior in women, and Steiner discovered in men by reducing testosterone and injecting estrogen and progesterone in a male.
Good God.
You can produce lordosis behavior in the male. And so what we document.
Go ahead.
You know, this weaponized weed. See? Now, you mad because they said I said weed makes you gay. I didn't say that then, but I'm saying it now. I'm not saying it makes you grown men gay. It does feminize, but all feminization ain't sexual.
Very good.
There's sexual feminization and there's non-sexual feminization. But feminization is feminization. Now, a grown man won't likely be sexually feminized by this weaponized weed. But an adolescent boy, a preteen boy, or a fetus in which the mother is token during pregnancy on the assumption that it helps your morning sickness. And black girls have the highest rate of marijuana smoking while pregnancy. Now that fetus in your womb, as a result of your medicating your morning sickness with marijuana. That marijuana plant has progesterone and estrogen qualities. In fact, the chemical formula of THC is the exact same chemical formula of progesterone. But what's important here, that synthesis produces an inclination to lordosis behavior in males. Now, what does that have to do with the chink in my tightness? The two hormones that were most effectively weaponized, progesterone and estrogen, were first discovered in 1929. Well, what else happened in 1929? God's weapon took flight in 1929. Oh, y'all don't know what that is? Estrogen and progesterone, the weapon of Satan against the black man, discovered in 1929. The mothership, the weapon of God against the white man on behalf of the black man. The mothership, look. I know you thinking I was scientific and academic all this time, and then I fell into a flight of fantasy, huh? That's what you think. See? No. I don't suspend my critical apparatus for no subject that I approach. I'm saying it takes more faith with the critical proof. It's 2018.
Come on, man. Right.
You have to have religious blind faith. Blind faith. Faith and blind faith ain't the same. Faith is a substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things unseen. There's evidence. We don't see it yet, but I got faith that the evidence is pointing to what I think it is. Blind faith is you have to, in order to have faith in what you believe, you have to close your eyes to the evidence in front of your face. And it takes religious blind faith to disbelieve in the mothership. It takes more faith for you to disbelieve in the mothership than for us to believe and acknowledge the mothership. We are documented. The reality. And what is the mothership? It's not a Martian plane. It's a human-built aerial weapon. A weapon of war. Built by the finest scientists on the planet. It is the weapon that will bring the white man's world to an end. This is that weapon. And it took flight. The weapon of God took flight the same year the weapons of Satan took flight, 1929. So my tidiness is back in effect. But this is where we want to go.
Come on.
Because between 1929 and 1934, it's phase 2 for the white man and phase 2 for God. Phase 2 was the preparation of the weapons. Phase 1, 1910 and 1930, was laying the scientific base. Dropping the seeds. 1929 and 1934 was preparation of the weapons for Satan and for God.
Yes, sir.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the weapon of God. Mustafa Muhammad in 1931 rose up. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad started preparing that weapon, isolating, purifying that weapon. Between 1931 and 1934, Elijah Muhammad, and hear this is why I could not leave premature. Because the point of my talk ain't Satan. The point of my talk is God. I can't leave you with the assault. I have to leave you with salvation. The counter assault. So y'all all right? I'm wrapping it up, I promise. We started late, but I think, would you agree? This stuff important. This is what's important about this man. He is not, and this is why I'm speaking especially to you who have not yet officially accepted yourself, your own, and being yourself. You who have not yet been compelled to join on to your nation of Islam. I'm saying this specifically to you right now. You have to understand these men right. You got to understand who and what they are. What is Elijah Muhammad? Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is two things. He's the sword of God. He's the one that's going to actually kill the white man. Yes, sir. He's the one. He's the Christ, the executioner of the judgment. He's the one in the book of Revelations. The Christ we see with that sword dripping with blood, that's him. And it's the blood of the white man. That's the work of Christ. Elijah is the sword, but Elijah is also the shield. And that's what's most important. What do I mean? Elijah is the shield. God prepared him and gave him what he needed for us to be shielded from the testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault. That's the most important thing I've come to Brooklyn to get over. I got to piece that out. Elijah as the shield is what is most important to you, and not Elijah as the sword. God and him, they take care of that. That's for when it's going to be. But Elijah Muhammad as shield is relevant to our life and death right at this moment. What do I mean Elijah Muhammad is the shield? The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the way of the Nation of Islam, is the shield specifically designed to shield us, to protect us from what the white man was working on in his two phases. The white man was working on an attack during his two phases. God was working on the protection from the attack during those same two phases. That's the Nation of Islam. So you say, oh, you got to prove that. That sounds like religious hoopla. That sounds like dogmatic rah-rah. You got to prove that. So I'm going to prove that, then I'm going home. Before I go home, I'm going to give us an opportunity to accept our own and be ourselves Get on the ark and save your life from the flood. The flood. You think I'm lying. The flood, I said, well, what is the flood that the Nation of Islam as the ark is saving black people from? Can you read that? Can you see that? Look at what it says. Livestock flood the environment with estrogen.
Wow.
Environmental Science, July 2004. On the basis of sampling for estrogenic compounds at 8 dairy and 11 swine waste storage facilities, researchers concluded that farm animals in the United States flood the environment with these hormones. Our environment is flooded with the weapons, the estrogenic weapons that were discovered and produced during 1929 and 1934. Now, coincidentally, these estrogens flood the environment, and the black man went from the world's Mr. T to the world's Mr. E. Fat, big fat. The black man naturally is the world's Mr. Testosterone. Nobody on the planet has the natural testosterone levels of the black man. And they've been assaulting the black man's testosterone out of testosterone envy. And they've been assaulting us with estrogen. And so now, multiple studies have indicated that the male that has the highest level of estrogen in his blood today is a black male from America. They did cross-population studies globally, and no one on the planet has the prostate cancer that the so-called Negro in America has, or has the estrogen levels that the so-called Negro in America has. Because estrogen has been weaponized against us. So the black man went from, the black man went from Mr. T to the Negro Mr. E. Because you and I are drowning in the flood. Why are we drowning in the flood?
Come on now, get to it.
Okay, now I gotta switch the language now, I'm sorry.
Right.
Why are you drowning in the flood?
Come on now.
Because you didn't enter the ark.
That's right. Right.
You refused to enter the ark that was specifically constructed to save you and I from the flood. The estrogenic flood, that's what this Islam, the way of this life, is protection. Protection against the damaging effects of estrogen on you, the damaging effects of excess estrogen on you. You understand that while you are naturally Mrs. Estrogen, excess estrogen in you, and all synthetic estrogen that you're exposed to is as damaging to you as it is to us. The cancers that you suffer from are estrogen-driven cancers. Not your natural estrogen, but exposure to the flood of estrogen.
Come on.
But the Nation of Islam is the ark. What do we mean by that? Not just being registered.
All right, come on. Open that up. Come on.
It ain't just being registered in the nation.
Sir.
Come on, line it up.
It's the necessary start.
That's right.
But the ark is the way of the Nation of Islam. It's the life that shields us. Specifically, the life prescribed for us by Master Fard Muhammad, taught to us by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's that life prescribed that is the shield. So if we are registered, but we smoking weed, we still feminized. We ain't protected. If we are registered and eating 3 meals a day, we ain't shielded. It's the life prescribed for us that is the ark, and by taking the prescription, we are saved from the flood. Prove that.
Come on now.
I'm almost finished.
Come on now.
I'm gonna prove it. Because I said, I'm gonna compel you. I'm not gonna tickle, I'm not gonna plead with you. I ain't gonna tickle your ears. I'm presenting a case that I'm hoping will compel you.
Come on.
I'm making you an offer that a wise man and woman can't confuse or can't refuse, or a sane man and woman can't refuse. I'm offering you the opportunity to get your butt in the ark. Get your butt in the ark. It ain't too late. It's almost too late. It's almost too late. But it ain't too late yet.
Come on.
I'm going to prove that Master Fard Muhammad is God. I'm going to prove that the Nation of Islam is the ark. The only path to salvation from this assault. The only. I'm going to come back to that. Not one of.
Come on.
The only. We the Navy bean people. And if you got any sense at all, when you leave here, you will be the Navy bean people. If you got any sense at all. Why? See, there's that Navy bean. There's that cabbage.
Come on now.
Maurice. There's that milk.
Come on now.
And see, that's why I'm going to say, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, drink milk. He said, see, the milk is a food of the gods, but see, you want to go with Dr. Sabi. I respect, may Allah be pleased with Dr. Sabi, but he was wrong. He was wrong on milk. He was wrong on smoking weed. And he was in the Nation of Islam. You want Dr. Sabi's teaching.
Come on. People didn't know that.
So, a major source of your hormonal balance, yours and yours, the vitamin D in milk.
Very good. Come on.
A major source you turn away from because Dr. Sabi repeated a fabricated lie, fabricated in 1966, that black people are naturally lactose intolerant. That's a lie. Lactose persistence, the ability to persistently produce lactase, the enzyme, while it dwindles in most people after you, with black people on the planet. We are the first original lactase persistent people. But a 1966 fraudulent study created the lie that 70% of white people are lactose tolerant, 70% of black people are lactose intolerant. That was in 1966, after Message to the Black Man was published in 65, and he was teaching us to drink milk. And after that fraudulent lie was published in 66, the ones who created that lie advocated for milk cartons to be taken out of every inner city school. Leave them in white schools, but take them out. And in many cases, that was our only source, young, poor black children. That was our source of the nectar of the gods. But they wanted to turn us away from the food of the gods, milk. Now, I gotta put this caveat, they weaponized milk. They have weaponized milk. So we gotta get milk from cows from small farms that aren't pregnant.
Come on.
Most milk is from dairy cows that are artificially inseminated right after having birth so that they can be milked for a long period of time. But a cow that's both pregnant and lactating and milking, that milk is estrogen and progesterone levels increase from 30 to 1,000%. So the very food of the gods that the messenger of God made available to us, they first deceived us to stay away from it, and then just in case, those who want to be good followers of God will avail themselves of milk. They've weaponized the milk. So we find milk. Got a small farms out of Cardi, 90% of commercial milk is from persistently pregnant cows.
Come on.
And so the milk is highly estrogen, and that's why we should do what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, boil it.
Yeah.
I know some of y'all like raw as in straight from the udder to your mouth. No, sir. No, ma'am.
That's right.
No, sir. No, ma'am.
Hey.
I know the fact, but I'll tell you what the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan said.
Come on. Come on.
You who want to follow other folks' teaching, I'm talking about us in the nation.
Hey. Come on. Teach us.
You who want to follow other folks' teaching. The men are, yeah, them, but in this case, the damnable heresy, black Muslim Scientology, that ain't my words. It's a messenger of God's word. But that ain't my subject.
Right. Come on, man. Don't let us lose.
It's the other damnable heresy.
Right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, well, brother, all I know is I myself witnessed what the messenger of God did.
Right.
So the messenger of God will milk the cow and the milk, bring that milk in these big steel canisters and boil it.
That's what he said. Say it again.
And he said, I follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's what he said.
So I say, I follow the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And now we see the wisdom.
Yes, sir. Right.
Because boiling the milk helps reduce some of the fat and thus the estrogen that is lipophilic. It loves fat. So boiling it, following the way of God, helps reduce the excess estrogen in your milk, or the potential. See, we never fare well when we exalt our way over the messenger of God's way. We never fare well. That's the milk. But this navy bean and the soy, see, you black conscious progressive vegans, not only do you reject the milk, even though God said drink lots of milk. He said drink milk, drink milk, drink milk. And you black progressive vegans say, I don't want no milk, I don't want no milk. And on top of that, you got a diet full of soy. Navy bean is the god of beans.
Come on.
Soybean is the devil of beans. But this navy bean, just bear with me a few more minutes. See, the navy bean proves Master Fard Muhammad is God. The navy bean proves that he was preoccupied. A preoccupation of his was the testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault. This book is specifically the manual on how to avoid the testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault. This book is specifically that manual, or the instructions in this book is the shield from the effects of the testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault. He said, eat the navy bean. We don't want to eat the navy bean. The navy bean is a testosterone booster.
Come on.
Navy bean is the source of the zinc we're depleted of, which we need to produce testosterone, but the navy bean is so wise and divine. It will normalize hormone levels. It will normalize testosterone in men and normalize it in women, which means you don't run the risk of being masculinized by the navy bean. You have testosterone naturally. We have estrogen naturally. The navy bean will raise our testosterone to its normal levels and raise yours if need be to its normal levels. But there's something else. And this I got to tip my hat to my brother who I asked to join me, Brother Shaheed from DC. Stand up.
Yes, sir.
I'm almost finished. Okay, that's fine. I'm in now and now. But I got 3 slides. Can I do 3 slides? I'm urging all of us to avail yourself to Brother Shaheed Muhammad's material. He has right now a series of videos. He has a electrical engineering degree.
Yes, sir. Listen, come on.
And the work he is doing in exposing the radiation conspiracy. And he scientifically breaks down navy beans, the way the navy bean protects against radiation. And he taught me, I didn't know any of that.
Come on now.
But he also closed a blind spot that I had that I didn't even know I had in my work. Those of you who have heard me, you have heard me speak of the 2 biochemicals that are the source of a man's drive for power.
Come on.
Testosterone and serotonin. And this book goes in detail the serotonin conspiracy. Right. Serotonin is a brain chemical.
Yes, sir.
Metabolized from this amino acid tryptophan.
Come on.
What I didn't know, people ask, because I talk about the effect of how they target our serotonin, deplete tryptophan from the foods made available to us. So if we don't have access to tryptophan, we can't metabolize serotonin. No tryptophan, no serotonin. Right. Serotonin, the one of the 2 biochemicals at the root of a man's drive for power. Why do I say a man's? Because men have 52% more brain serotonin than women, just as men have more testosterone than women. What I didn't know, people ask, well, what's the source of tryptophan? We want to replenish our tryptophan, and you know, they put turkey and all this, but everything that they would offer as good sources of tryptophan has a caveat to it, has a but to it. Okay. And what I didn't know until brother pointed it out, you see what that says? Navy bean, rich source of tryptophan.
Yes, sir. Come on now.
Come on.
Navy being a rich source of testosterone, Navy being a rich source of tryptophan. This is the magic bullet for us. Through the Navy bean, we can replenish our testosterone. Through the Navy bean, we can replenish our tryptophan and thus our serotonin.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And this is important. They did a study.
Yeah.
They fed rats a tryptophan depleted diet, meaning in the food that they served these rats, they depleted the tryptophan. And what did they discover? Homosexual mounting behavior induced in male rats and rabbits by a tryptophan-free diet. Because serotonin, one of its purposes is to be the brakes on urges and drives. For example, our sex drive. Serotonin modulates our sex drive. It doesn't kill it, but it keeps us from being a savage.
Come on.
Serotonin is the brakes, the chemical brakes. You deplete serotonin, then you're taking the brakes off impulses and drives. And what they discovered in sexuality, it will lead to hypersexuality, just having sex all the time with anything. It will bleed over into homosexuality.
Man, you teach it.
Come on, that fix. Bring it.
Tryptophan depleted foods are at the root of some homosexuality. And we got a black homosexual phenomenon, but we got the Navy bean. So we have no excuse for being tryptophan depleted except we reject the messenger of God. Come on. Except we reject the messenger of God and we refuse to get in the ark.
Right.
And I have to say this. We think that because we 30, 40, 50, okay, that don't necessarily apply to me, so I escaped.
Yeah, right.
But no, much of this stuff is visited upon our children.
Right.
And it's the millennials, it's our children who are at the root of the spike of the black homosexual phenomenon. It's our children.
Come on.
We pay the cost of refusing to get in the ark through our children. That we might not be making you gay, but your son's gonna grow up to be gay, and don't act like you don't understand. In this book, he insists that we eat green foods.
Right.
Why? The specific foods that he advised us to eat, like cabbage, but he didn't say just eat cabbage.
Right.
The white part, not the green part.
Exactly.
Why make that distinction, dear holy apostle? Because they did study, and it's the white part of cabbage that is rich in endo-3 carbinol, which inhibits excess estrogen metabolism.
Come on.
It's a regulator of estrogen.
Talk about that, Captain.
It balances estrogen levels in men and women because it inhibits aromatase.
Right. Come on.
The engine that converts testosterone to estrogen, this compound inhibits aromatization, keeps us with our testosterone and limits the excess estrogen in our body. So the very diet that he prescribed for us, the unique, peculiar diet, has all of the protection against the testosterone conspiracy, estrogen assault.
Right.
Come on.
I said BPA. BPA levels higher in men with prostate cancer. All of our prostate cancer and the blood of
aggressive prostate cancer patient. They found a high amount of BPA, bisphenol A. They did a study, black children in particular have the highest body burden of BPA.
Wow.
Of anybody in the United States. Our children are walking around, our bodies are sacks of BPA. The BPA is at the root because it's estrogenic. It's at the root of prostate cancer. BPA is linked to breast cancer. Where are we getting all of this BPA in our bodies from?
Wow.
The canned foods that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to stay away from.
Come on, tell it.
These cans are lined with BPA. Black people have the highest body burden of BPA because we insist on eating canned foods, though the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he not only said stay away from it, he taught the sisters how to properly can the food. Mason jar. That's what sisters are doing on Saturday morning. They are constructing the ark.
Come on.
They're reinforcing the ark.
Come on.
So that we don't continue to drown in the flood.
Right.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and don't know, you don't see that nowhere else.
No, sir.
Ain't no other group gonna show
sir.
that beautiful
Come
picture.
on. Come on now.
And shout out to my mother-in-law over there in the corner. But we're suffering from BPA.
Yes, sir.
BPA caused breast cancer. We're suffering from BPA caused prostate cancer. Why? Because the wages of sin is death.
Go ahead. Come on.
What is sin? Transgression of the law. What's the law?
Come on.
Stay away from canned foods. Can your foods with mason jars.
Right.
But we continue using canned foods and we are paying the cost of our rejection of the messenger of God.
Hey.
And this is the result of getting on the ark.
Come on now. Come on now. Beautiful. Yeah. Hey.
My last statement is this. I have no more slides. My closing remark is this, and it is important. This is why. See, what you're looking at, ain't that beautiful?
Yes, sir.
Ain't that tight?
Yes, sir.
Be real clear. The beauty that you see, the magnetism that you see isn't because of the bow tie the brothers are wearing. You're not seeing the effect of the bow tie. You're not seeing the effect of the beautiful garments. That's not what you are witnessing. You are seeing the effect of the life.
Right. Say that again.
That's what's attracting you.
Right.
It's this life that produced the effect that you see, and that's why.
Come on.
You got a lot of people out there, brother, student minister Henry, that talk Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
And that's good.
Yes.
I don't begrudge that. Everybody should talk Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Everybody.
Yes, sir.
But be real clear. You can't be this unless you do this.
That's right. That's right. Come on now.
What I mean by
Walk the
that.
walk.
The Dr. Khalid Muhammad you love, he was made by this life.
That's right.
So you can be a follower of his, but you could never represent him unless you come through the same process that he came through. The Malcolm X that you love. You're not gonna be strong like Malcolm X except you come through the process that produced him. This is the process so you can talk Islam, you could talk Elijah Muhammad, but those who talk but don't do, you know them because they real bootleg.
Right.
They real bootleg. And the difference, they can wear a suit, they can wear a head wrap. The difference is it's the life.
Right.
It's the life, the prescribed life that produces the effect. It's the prescribed life that is the ark to save us from the flood. Accept your own and be yourself. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
May I take
Yes, please do, brother. Come on now. Yes,
So now the only thing that is left is a formality.
Right. Right.
That's all that's left. May I see the hands of those who are here for your first, second, or third time?
Never been here.
Never been here. Praise belongs to Allah. Praise belongs to Allah. May I ask you to stand up, please? Praise belongs to Allah. That's a beautiful sight. Now just the goons have been given the instruction to stand down. You good. Ain't nobody gonna goon you. So I want you to, the questions we ask with integrity. We want you to answer with integrity. Do you believe that what you heard today is true? Believe it to be true? Do you, because if you don't, I want you to say no, because goons ain't gonna get at you. Do you believe that what you heard today being true is good for black people? So then I would like to ask you I would like to invite you to accept your own today and begin the process of being yourself today. What does that mean? I'm inviting you to begin the process of joining the Nation of Islam. I'm inviting you, sister, to come out on Saturday. Begin the process of acclimating yourself to this sisterhood.
Come on.
That is the nuts and bolts of the ark. The nuts and bolts of the ark. Literally. To saving us from the flood. I'm asking you to come out this Saturday, to the MGT class, to begin the process of being yourself. I'm asking you, brothers, to be here tomorrow at FOI class.
Yes.
To begin the process of being yourself, acclimating yourself and integrating yourself into this brotherhood. But what I'm really asking you is to join your own for the purpose of saving your black life.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I'm asking you, we are welcoming you into the ark.
Come on.
We don't want you because we love you.
Come on. That's right.
We don't want you to drown. We don't want your babies to drown. It ain't too late for you. It ain't too late for your children. So yes, I am putting you all on the spot to come out Saturday.
Right.
Will you be here on Saturday, dear sister?
I will try.
Yes, ma'am. I'm asking you to come out on tomorrow. Will you be here tomorrow? 7 o'clock. Here. PM. So we want to, may I take the opportunity, will you honor me by allowing me to shake your hand and welcoming you. You can't say I falsely advertise. I'm being straight up Now, of course, that doesn't compare. You could not. You could abandon the process. But I am expecting to see my family on the ark. Not because we need worshipers. We need you to save your black life and the black life of your children. So I'm going to be looking for y'all on the ark. In the meantime, can I shake your hand?
Praise.
Come on, brothers and sisters. All praises due to Allah. Come on now. Black man, you can step on right down the aisle. Come shake the hand of our brother, a representative of our minister, Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Shake his hand. Come on, black man. All praises due to Allah. Come on, brothers and sisters. Aren't you happy for them? Aren't you glad to see our brothers step up? Yes, sir. We hope to see them all tomorrow night. Here, right here, Muhammad Ma 7C. All praises due to Allah. Yes, all praises due to Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest, getting greater and greater every day. Is that right? All praises due to Allah. Yes. Come on now, them brothers, they enjoyed that message. They got fed very well, and they want to come and accept their own and be themselves. Let's give that black man another well-deserved round of applause. Yes. Come on now. Soldiers for Muhammad. That's right. Soldiers for their family. Soldiers for the community. Soldiers for themselves. All praises due to Allah. I think you got one more back there trying to get at you, beloved. Yes, sir. Come on, brother. Step up. That's right. That's right. Allahu Akbar. Yes. Yes. Praise is due to Allah. Yes, sir. Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. Let's give our brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, another well-deserved round of applause, brothers and sisters. Yes, sir. It's yours too. All praises are due to Allah. All praises due to Allah.